Coming up on the Crazy Jamaican Bwoy Podcast.
I remember the first time somebody told me, like, you're not Jamaican. And for me, I was just like, for somebody from Jamaica to tell me that, my family raised me to say that I am proudly Jamaican.
The government sell we out, basically. You know what I mean? The government not really business about we. Them just all about marketing Jamaica as a tourism product.
And it's not good because it's not sustainable. If you're writing queer representation for men especially, it's so much harder, because I do think in Jamaica especially it's much harder for a man to say that he's queer than it is for a woman.
Yo guys, you don't know, it's your boy Anthony. We're back again with another episode of the Crazy Jamaican Bwoy Podcast. You see me? Alright, before we get into things, guys, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. The whole works, alright? If you're streaming this on Apple or Spotify, you don't know it, go, we can't leave it out. Make sure you guys hit follow, alright? And leave a comment and thing, alright? So, you know, the setup is very different and thing. Yeah, this is my first virtual interview, guys. My first virtual interview. Can you believe it? Yeah. So my special guest is, you know, an acclaimed author. You see me? When her publicist reached out to me and said like, hey, yo, you know, they want to have her on my show. Me, I said, wait there. I saw me a go on. This is her new book, guys. Her second book. Read it. It's really good. Hey, and the thing is too, it have something I wanna love. Mix up. I wanna love the mix up, guys. Be hear that in another book, yeah. You see me? Alright, so we're gonna get into it right now with Miss DeAndra Davis. Miss DeAndra Davis, thank you so much for coming on. Or should I say Mrs. DeAndra Davis?
It is Mrs.
Alright, there you go. Yeah, man, because let me tell you, yes, the first part of this book, when I was going through it and thing, I was like, okay, this seems like a nice little cute, you know, coming of age story. And then the next half, I'm just like, whoa! It just went from 0 to 100 real quick. But it was a good read.
That's the fun thing about writing. It's the fun thing about writing teenagers, because they make stupid decisions. I made stupid decisions when I was a teenager. And so I think that the fun thing about writing for kids is that you get to make them make them come be a mix up. And so I think I like it, and it's a lot of fun. And I had a lot of fun writing it, but it was also very emotional to write too. So
I listen, we're gonna get into all of that, right? So yeah, really and truly, I really enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend everyone to go and get this book. When will this book be out, DeAndra?
June 23rd. June 23rd. So that's kind of around the corner.
Here you go. All right, guys. But before we get into this amazing book, DeAndra, can you give us like a quick 30-second introduction, please?
Oh, I hate when people ask me that, because then I forget everything about myself. So my name is DeAndra Davis. I am an author. I'm Jamaican-American, and that is on, I guess I call myself Jamaican-American because I was born here, but I am Jamaican on both sides. My parents, my grandparents, my cousin, everybody's from Jamaica. I was the first generation to be born here, and I was born in Brooklyn. And that was always a weird experience a little bit, because I wasn't really raised American, because my family definitely did not forget when they were Jamaican when they came here. And so I tend to write a lot about things relating to my identity, and things that I hope that other people can relate to and help to process things as well.
Wow, and I love it. Listen, I that's one thing. Like when I was reading this book, it just felt so real. You know, it just felt like this is like a real person I'm reading about. Which begs me to ask, what inspired you to write this story?
A few things. And and that's funny, because I tell people all the time, like, none of my characters are ever me, right? There are always little pieces of me in my characters, but none of them are ever me. I do like to put little pieces of me, just because I think that when you have something real to attach to, it makes it feel more real for the people who are reading it. And I think for me, when I was writing this book, I was thinking a lot about, interestingly, I was thinking a lot about my grandparents. um, and sorry, because my grandfather just passed last year.
My
But
condolences.
no, thank you. But I was thinking a lot about my grandparents, and I was thinking a lot about all of the things that they did for me. So some of the things that are in the book, for example, it's not in the frame of grandparents, but it was in the frame. I think I was just thinking a lot about my family, and I really wanted to represent my family and kind of immortalize them a little bit in my writing. Not necessarily the bad things, but the good things. But even little things like for example, right at the beginning of the book, Jalea's father makes her breakfast, and she's embarrassed to kind of take it on the bus because she's afraid that people are going to comment on it, and they do when she brings it. And that was an experience that I had, because every single morning, but the thing is, it's not something that I was ever upset about. I never once tried to dodge the breakfast. I always took it happily, and I didn't care what people said. But that was an experience I had. My grandmother, when we moved to Florida, so I was born in New York, but we moved to Florida because that's where the highest concentrations of Jamaicans go for some reason. They all go to Canada, New York, or Florida.
Don't forget London. Don't forget London.
And London, right? That's the Jamaican starter pack, right? And so we moved from New York to Florida, and when we moved, my grandparents came too, and they moved just about a block away from us, and so they were really, really close by. And every single morning, my grandmother would wake up, and I mean wake up early, early, early. I'm talking 4 a.m, because we had to be on the bus by 6, and she would wake up, and I'm talking, she would make ackee and saltfish and cook food and obviously hot tea, because if I don't drink tea, gas will kill me. And gas hasn't killed me yet, so clearly my grandmother is correct.
There
And
you
so,
go.
hot tea, and she comes with the hot tea, and she comes with the food, and whether it's fried bummy or fried breadfruit or whatever she's bringing, right? Saltfish fritters, something, right? She's bringing something for us to eat because she didn't want us to go to school hungry, right? And she didn't want us to go to school and eat the what she call the feckless food at the school. She didn't want us eating that stuff. And so, yeah, so she would always make big plates of food and tea and bring everything to us. And yeah, sometimes I had people who commented on things like that. I had people who, would come, and they would what's that? What's that? Why does it smell like that? Why does it look like that? That's not breakfast. What is that? What are you eating? And I would
Yeah.
be like, but because that was all I was ever raised on, and that was all I ever knew. And so it wasn't anything that was strange to me. But
Yeah.
I remember reactions when I was in school, when people would ask me things like, oh, what's something you like, or what's something you like to eat? And I'd say, oh, Manish water. What's that? Well, it's goat head soup. Goat head soup. You eat goat head soup. You eat goat head. And it's like, or you like curry goat. You eat goat. Chicken foot soup. You like chicken foot soup? Chicken foot. You're eating chicken feet? Like things like that. And you get those reactions from people. And so I was thinking about how I could turn that experience into something on paper, and how I could look at that experience between what does it look like when you are so steeped in a culture, but you're so far from home, right? Like you're so steeped in a culture and it is such a part of you, but you're so far from home and you're being judged for that. So the place that you are doesn't accept you because you're not that, right? But then also, what does it look like when the place that you call home maybe looks at you like you don't belong there either? I still remember the first time, and one of my cousins said it. It was so funny. I still remember the first time one of my cousins was coming, and said, "Oh, I think I was watching a movie or a show or something," and
Yeah.
she goes, "Oh, but can't slam the door on my house. And I said, "And you think I can? Did, and you think I can? Who do you think my mother is? Who do you think your auntie is? Who do you think me? Slam door so she can come lick me? Come box me down? No! Come box me down somewhere? No! I'm
Yeah.
like, who is slamming doors? And I realized that it's because her understanding of
Yeah.
America is what she saw on TV. She assumed that just because I was being raised there, that I was being raised differently. And I'm like, no, my mother is still your father's sister. Okay? And just the same way your father would have handled it, me I get handled.
Same way, so same way, so.
Same way.
I think I would have the same reaction as your cousin, especially when I was younger. Because I remember, obviously a lot of Jamaicans, we grew up watching a lot of American television. So, we see the dynamics, we see how they behave with the parents, and we just assume it's like that, like, all over. So then remember one time we go to New York, and me and my cousin, we do something, we never did to do, and her mother saw that, and here are some, and me I say, oh, you can't do this, yes? Them say you can't go on, yes, sir. Yeah, like crazy.
I think about the way that I was raised. It was, and of course I can't sit here and say that there were no differences, but at the same time, like I still spent so much time home. I have pictures of me all from when I was just a baby, coming up, going back and forth. Pictures with all pictures with my great grandfather Papa, and pictures at Papa's 9 night. And I think about those things, and I think, how can I have those experiences and you tell me that it's not something that I can claim too. And that's something that I really wanted to write about.
And that's literally what I wanted to get into, right? The first question. Do you think second generation Caribbean kids, right? Jamaicans specifically, sometimes struggle with, not feeling Jamaican enough?
Yes. And so, I'm considered first generation because I'm the first generation to be born here. So my kids would be second generation. And I do see that with them. I do see that with them. And I think about, so like that would be like my kids and my brother's kids, and like my like the kids that are coming from us who were first born here. And I do think that, but even first generation struggle. I think it is the immigrant experience to struggle. But I also think that I never really felt like I wasn't Jamaican enough until I felt like somebody else called it into question. Does that make sense? So I never personally felt that way ever growing up, because that was all I ever saw. All I ever saw was Jamaicans. All I ever ate was Jamaican food. All I ever listened to was Jamaican music. I was raised with the values. I still remember the first time I brought a friend around and my grandma came and said, my spirit can't take her. She had to go. We can't be friends anymore.
Wow.
Nope. My grandma said my grandma said her spirit can't take her.
So she need food.
We can't be friends. I still remember my grandma. She came around. She said, I said, oh dear God.
Oh wow.
I said, oh dear. So my spirit can't take her,
I
said, all right. And so it's funny because I was raised with values, not follow a friend, all kind of like, and so it was interesting. So I never thought about it until I got older, I think, and I started having other people call it into question. And when I had other people tell me, I remember the first time somebody told me, like, you're not Jamaican. And I was just, and for me, I was just like, for somebody from Jamaica to tell me that, and even though my family, and I will say, my family never said that, my family never raised me that way. My family raised me to say that I am proudly Jamaican. And I think that's just the way Jamaicans are. That's just how we are. Right? Definitely. We're gonna pick up ourselves. Right? Pick up yourself.
Oh, for sure, man, definitely.
But so it's one of those things where I never called it into question until somebody else called it into question, and it made me feel like, do I have less claim, and is this something where I can't claim it because someone else is saying this? And I did struggle with that a little bit, because I think about, so my husband is American, and it's funny because like even like little things, like sometimes he'll put like an old black song on, or he'll sing something, and he'll be oh, you know this, and I'm like, and he's just like, your parents didn't play this in the house. I'm like, sir, my mom played Barris Hammond and Buja. I don't know what this is.
Wow.
I don't know what this is. Who is this? Like, he'll have to tell me, he'll say, you don't know this song? No, I do not. No, I do not. My mom played Garnet Silk. Do you have Sanchez? I don't know what this is. And so it's funny because even then, that's really where I see those differences though. Like, oh, you didn't grow up, like the first time I had to do Thanksgiving with my husband, with my family, I had to, because again, I grew up with Jamaican food and I'm cooking all kinds of things. And I had to learn how to cook American dishes for Thanksgiving.
Wow.
I had to learn how to cook American dishes for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, my husband wanted collard greens and candied yams. And I didn't grow up with that. So I didn't know how to cook it. I had to ask his mom. I had to call his mom and how do you make this? And she was surprised because it's, oh, my mom taught me how to make oxtail and brown stew chicken and curry chicken and curry goat and
go with the collard greens. What collard greens I got?
I can make cabbage. I can make cabbage.
Let me tell you, I'm not to mash up the little southern cuisine, cause some of it.
No, it's good.
So
it's good.
I'm not to, whatever. But yeah, I get what you mean, man. For real.
It's good. Real. It's just funny because they like to be told, oh, you're not this and you're so American. I couldn't even cook American food. I had to learn.
Yeah. I think that's just a general misconception. You know what I mean? And that's why I always say to people, like, a lot of, when you don't travel, you're at a huge disadvantage. You know what I mean? Because you don't know what, like, other cultures are like. You don't know what it's really like out there. Like, it's a whole big world out there, And I feel like when you just stick in at the one environment and you don't really interact and, like, see how other people are living, you don't know. So you're just under the assumption that, once you're not living in Jamaica, you never have the experiences in Jamaica, you're not Jamaican. And I know a lot of Jamaicans have that sentiment. They're like, oh, she never grew here, so she not Jamaican. She grew America, so she a Yankee. But at the same time, if they were supposed to really hear your story and see that, hey, yes, my geographical location, it may be different from yours, but at the same time, I have a similar upbringing. I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, but still get beaten. All them something there. Some people think if I'm foreign you there, you can't get lick. You know what I mean? You can't get a proper lick. No, but that's what I mean. You have enough Jamaicans have that misconception.
I hate to say it, and I'm not outing my mom. I love you, mom. But she used to line us up. She used to line us up. You used to have to watch one get it and know it was coming for you next.
Hey, them something that Tori tried to look at those things in it. It's like, damn. Damn.
Oh gosh, no. And I think the one thing that we have to remember too is that it's not just an insult to the people that are born there. In a lot of ways, you're insulting the people who left because you're saying that they left and did not pass anything on.
Mm-hmm.
Like for you to say, oh, well, that person, your child isn't Jamaican. That's you telling them you left and you didn't raise your child Jamaican. You left and you didn't pass anything on. That's what you're saying. Even though you're not saying it, that is what you're saying. You're not just insulting the child that was born there. You're insulting, the person who left for whatever reason. And so many of us do, and some of us are back and forth. My grandmother, she's back and forth. So she spends half her time here now and half her time in Jamaica. And
where in Jamaica, if you don't mind me asking?
Kingston. I have an uncle who lives down on Red Hills Road. I have a lot of family. I have a lot of family in Jamaica. My favorite uncle, though, she stayed with my favorite uncle. But then they also have a house out there on some land. Although I don't listen. You know how that is when somebody has a house on some land and everybody fighting over it. So it's none of my business. But you know how that
Crazy.
But so the one that she stays with the most often is my uncle who lives in Kingston, and she's back and forth with him, and that is my favorite uncle. And loosely not, and I would like to say, not like the uncle in the book. My uncle's a very, very nice man, and I love him. He's my favorite. He's so funny. I have the funniest video of them in the hurricane. Oh my goodness, they sent it to me on WhatsApp. You needed to see them in the street dancing in the rain. No take nothing serious.
Yeah, you're not taking nothing seriously at all, may I tell you. For real. That's us Jamaicans, right? Can't make it stressful. Can't make it stressful. Can't live with the stress.
Can't bother.
Yeah, but back to the novel though. So like when writing this novel, it was like some way of you reconnecting with your roots, right?
I think
Was it
so.
like kind
Yes.
of was it kind of
I
like
tell
cathartic for you? Cathartic?
Kind of. And I tell people honestly, even though it does feel like a critique for certain reasons, I tell people truly, and I hope that it does come through in the book. I tell people that for me, it really is my love letter to a home that I do love and that I have beautiful memories in. And again, some things are loosely based. I did not have to go to the hospital, but I did hit the hell out of my head.
Jono, when I read that, I was just like, damn.
I did hit the hell out of my head one time climbing Duns River. Oh goodness, hurt myself so bad. I'm very clumsy, and so it was probably my fault. But and so a lot of the experiences that she has were experiences that I have had, and experiences that I enjoyed, and things that I did, but also things that I recognize I've only done, and I know this is going to sound crazy, a lot of those things I've only done like one time, because most of the time we go, we're not doing tourist stuff. We're going and we're staying with family. We're not staying on a resort. We're not going to go do all the fun things, right? We're staying with family, and it's just a lot more low key. It's just a lot more low key. It's just a lot of hanging around and, walking to the corner store and doing things like that. And so it's not a lot of those tourist activities. So a lot of those things, I think in my lifetime, I've probably only been to Duns River Falls twice.
Oh.
But I've been to Jamaica more than twice. But even if I ask obviously more than twice, many, many times. But the funny thing is, if you ask my family, they don't go either. They don't really go either. And it's funny because I think about that too, in relation to, I'm that way too though, because even when I lived in Florida, ask me how many times I went to the beach.
I mean, well, to be fair, the beach in Florida ain't really not nice.
Still, but people travel from all over the country to go to the beach in Florida.
Well, that's true. So you're right about that.
People travel from all over the country here to come to the beach in Florida, right? And so to other people, they say, "Oh, you grew up in Florida. You probably go to the beach all the." No, I'm not going. I'm not going because in my head it's a bunch of tourists there and they're blocking up the place and they're just I don't want to go deal with it. And it's a similar thing too, where I almost wanted to write a love letter to Jamaica too, in the way that we have all these beautiful things and we're not always the ones who are enjoying them. We're not always the ones who are enjoying them. Oftentimes it's people coming from other places enjoying the beauty that we have. And like my favorite place is Fern Gully. I love driving through Fern Gully. I love driving through Fern Gully. I love driving. It's my favorite. But if anybody asks me, it's my favorite place. And I used to love and just stop at the shops with the with the carvings of the man with the let me keep it PG.
I can talk, man. A crazy Jamaican boy, man. We're X-rated over here, so you can talk.
No, with all the woodwork.
Shout out the rest of them with the big wood. How that shut up? The rest of them with the big wood. That shut up, guys.
but I loved it. I love because part of it too is my grandfather was an artist. My grandfather would paint. He would do all kinds of art too. And so I would love to stop and look at the art. I would love to stop and take it in, and I just love to be around the nature. And so like people ask me what's my favorite place, and I'm like, that's my favorite place. That's my happy place. I'm still scared of Flatbridge. I will forever be scared of Flatbridge because every single time I have a bad memory. The first time I ever, well, not the first time I ever, because I went on it plenty of times before I could remember. But the youngest memory I have going over Flatbridge was my dad talking about, and it's haunted. The river is haunted. The river is haunted with, and it comes and it's that you can't put no rails on it, and it always washes away the rails, and the river is haunted, and if it wash away the car, everybody are gonna die. All right.
That's not much. Not even the
It was-
mermaid. I
he
know
was-
the mermaid story, but the
No, I know the mermaid story too. I know the mermaid. I know the golden table. I know that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So many different stories, but he would tell me how it's haunted by the spirits of the people who worked on the bridge, and they were gonna come take me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and so the whole time we driving across the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
nothing
No,
ever
for real.
happened, obviously. But he scared me as young as I could remember. Scared the life out of me.
Oh gosh, wow. No man, I mean, me a friend too, man. If me had the one little pick me, I mean, I hear them something, they made say Jano star, like that.
That's the
rough.
thing. And I was the kid where if somebody told me something, it was stuck. It was
Yeah, that
stuck,
was
and I
stuck.
just remembered it forever.
Jano. But yeah, another question too. I want, but like you touched on it too. Like Jamaica definitely feels like its own character in your book
Mhm.
because your name dropped so many iconic like locations and landmarks, which I really liked reading because like I said, in a lot of our local literature, you don't really get that much opportunity to really well. To be fair, me not really read that much. I'm gonna be straight. Me not really read that much. But when I used to read the books, me not really hear. Can you hear say 1 minute you're the devil knows, and the next minute you say they over yes so and yes so. But the first thing the one thing that came to my head throughout while reading this book, when they did have money, the characters them have money because me can't understand how uno not even reach adulthood it, uno a teenager, but uno can travel all over Jamaica.
Listen. It is based on the idea that her dad gave her money. Let's just leave it there. Because you're right. But I also, it's funny because money is a funny touch point too, because I think I had someone else ask me, probably in a written interview, about like the character and how she has an experience where they asked her to step back because she would be charged more. And someone asked me, like, is that a real thing? I was like, absolutely. I was like, absolutely. I was like, don't sound American. That's an upcharge. I was like,
To be
that's an
fair, though,
upcharge.
To be fair though, I feel like it can be applied to everywhere. You see me? Like
Oh, yes, that's everywhere.
If they
and
see a
it's not
tourist, they're gonna take
mean-spirited.
advantage.
Of course,
Don't
I was
take
like, it's not mean spirited. I was like, it's not even necessarily a mean spirited thing, right? I was
Yeah.
like, it's not in mean spirit. I was like, but even something as different as like, even something like when you go somewhere like Dunn's River Falls or you go certain places, there's a separate price for the people who don't live in Jamaica, and there's a separate price for the people who do. And people will sit and say like, oh well, for the character, she's taking it personally, right? I never took it personally. I understood. It makes sense. It would imagine charging the same price for everybody, and the people who live there have to pay the same price as the tourists. That's not really fair. So it's not like I
fair,
understand it,
but
but of course.
it's not
No,
fair
but
at
I mean,
all. I will say.
I don't think it's fair to the people who live there, because it's first of all, I think I have a strong opinion. I have a hot take.
Give it to me. Give it to
I
me.
have
I
a
love
hot
that.
take.
Give it to
I
me.
don't think that anybody who lives in Jamaica should have to pay to go certain places. I still remember the first time I went to Doctor's Cave Beach, and we had to pay to go to a certain side. And I was just like, well, I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like that, because how can we section off and charge for something that belongs to us? I don't like that. I don't. That's my hot take. I don't think that anybody
You're
who
right.
is a Jamaican resident should have to pay to go to any place. I think that the only people that should have to pay are tourists. And I know, hot take, but I think the only person who should have to pay are tourists, because I do not think that we should be charging us, because I could not imagine the only thing I have to pay for in Florida if I want to go to the beach is parking. Right? Parking. And sometimes if I don't want to pay for parking, if I park far enough and I walk, I'll be fine. I just park somewhere for free and walk
Yeah.
a little bit farther. But I don't think that that's right to pay for access when it's somewhere that we live, because
It's
the one
not.
thing that I think about a lot, I think about Hawaii, and I think about how much the Hawaiians are saying, please stop coming. The tourism has tore up our economy. We're so dependent on tourism, and we need tourism to survive, and that has ruined things for us, and we're ruining our resources. And I don't want Jamaica to become Hawaii.
too late, to be honest with you. Because the government sell we out basically. You know what I mean? The government not really business Bowie. Them just all about marketing Jamaica as a tourism product. You know,
And
like
it's not good because it's not sustainable because you're always relying on the outside to keep you afloat. And that's not good. And then it's like I think about, it's like I said, I think about why should something that belongs to us be, why should there be a gateway for
mm,
something that belongs to us? That's not right.
it's not
And I
right. Like
also
every
think that
time.
that's part of the reason
Mm,
why so many people who live in Jamaica don't always go and do those things.
yeah, because it's really expensive. Like I gotta tell you, like I remember when I went to Frenchman Cove in Portland. Have you ever been?
No, I haven't been. I want
Oh,
to.
okay.
I
So
know
really,
about it,
really,
but I have not gotten to go.
so really, really nice beach. Guess how much for good here?
How much?
Guess. Just guess. Give me a just throw a figure out there. In JMD. In JMD.
Okay, I'm gonna guess. I'm trying to think of a reasonable price. I'm trying to think. No, hold on. 3,000.
You were close. It's around that, like $2,800,
That's
$3,000
a
for one
oh, and
person to enter.
that's not a reasonable price either. I was thinking when I say reasonable, I was thinking how much would somebody charge in terms of going into a tourist destination? Because that's equivalent of like what 25,
It's a lot.
$30 or something here. I wouldn't pay 25, $30 to go to the damn beach.
So that may I try to show you, man. Them
Mm-mm. That's
and I
too
just for
much.
one
That's too much.
person. And a Jamaica this,
Uh,
remember, and I like so we are earn like uno, Our income
mhm.
the reach, not even reach quarter
But
what uno
even
there,
But even what you're saying though, for me, I wouldn't if I went to any beach anywhere and somebody told me, "Oh, here, $28, $30, $25." Fella,
And it's just the entry. I just enter that. That's
that's
the
not even if
enter
you
the beach. That's all.
exactly because
Nothing.
Doctor's Cave was the same way cuz when you go, it's oh, well if you want the flippers that's one price and if you want the snorkel mask that's another price and if you want to do this that's another price and there's a trampoline and that's another price. Everything costs something else when you get there.
So that may I try to show you, man.
Mm-mm. It's too
Tell
much.
you, man.
It's too
It's a
much.
lot. It's a lot, man. And it not gonna change because it's gonna sound fucked up, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Jamaicans don't really know how to really fight for anything. Not at least not this current generation of Jamaicans, in my opinion. I feel like we just tolerate so much. Like the government can do so much and just get away with a lot because we don't really hold them accountable.
I
It's
think
just
that
a
that's
sad
true.
reality. We don't really hold
I think
anybody
that
accountable.
that's
You see with
true
America,
everywhere.
You see with Uno, the least little thing the government do. Una protest, una in the streets, una do all of that stuff. We, the Jamaicans, I'm gonna give an example. So apparently, the whole Hurricane Melissa thing that
Hmm.
stopped up and thing. We soon get back to your book, you know.
No,
Go all
it's
the way to
fine.
something else. But anyways, so yeah, the whole Hurricane Melissa thing.
No,
So
we're
the
still
whole
talking about
relief
my book because
project.
we're talking about Jamaica.
All right, there you go. So the whole Hurricane Melissa thing, right? We raised some, funds sent all the countries stepped in and, helped us. So
Mhm.
there was a whole report that came out that only 1.8%, of the funds have been spent to aid people affected by Hurricane Melissa.
Where's the other
1.8%.
98%?
How is it that and
Mm.
me not see no protest, Me not see no protest are going. You know what me hear people are complain about? The hill and gully rhythm. You hear about that, right? The hill and gully rhythm. Hill
No,
and
what happened?
gully.
No,
But that's
I
what I'm
heard
saying though. We're so focused on just like these
the wrong
trivial
thing.
things. We're focused on the whole billboard thing that happened. I'm not sure if you heard about that. The billboard with the girl just bust open her leg. Which I
Oh,
mean,
I
to
did
be
hear about
fair,
that.
which, to
I
be
did hear about
fair,
that.
it is a fair concern. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, I feel like more people should be speaking out about this. You know what I mean? Like
You know what?
holding the government accountable.
I will tell you, and it's funny that you said that because even as much as you're saying like we fight so much here, we fight so much here. One of the things that I think like one of the things that I notice with especially Black people everywhere, right, is this reduction in the need to fight, right? Because even like right now, you said that we fight, but one of the things that I've seen is especially after a lot of things have happened here in the last election, there's been a lot of Black people who said, look, we tried, we're not doing anything anymore. We don't want any part in it. We want to rest now. And it's funny because I'm writing a book right now. Can't really talk about it, but it's funny because I'm writing a book right now, and one of the quotes in the book, and I can't remember exactly what I said word for word, but essentially I said, our ancestors, one of the biggest problems is that our ancestors knew that they had to fight, whereas we have been trained into believing that the fight is done.
That's
right. So our ancestors knew that there was fighting to do, but we have been told you have everything now. You're good now. Everything's fine. And so we've been trained to believe there's nothing else to fight for. And so things like this happen, and we don't pay attention to things, and we let things slide, and we pay attention to, like you said, the trivial things, and we don't fight when we should, because I mean, why would we, when the truth is we are constantly told, well, you're better off than you were. You're not where you were. You're not where your ancestors were. And you're not where your ancestors were. Your ancestors had it harder than you. You have it so much easier. What do you have to fight for?
That's true still, but I would like some of that ancestral spirit to kick in, and so we can go and bud in the streets,
Me
man, because
too.
we met the government get away with too much, honestly, and it's becoming a bit aggravating. I'm not gonna lie. Just to see them just a smile and a walk around like and everything is okay. It's not okay. Hurricane
anybody
Melissa
happy with the
happened
government?
in. Well, if you go on social media, you have people that are defending this. The government spending the 1 point. Yes, you do. You have people that are so blinded by politics they can't see beyond nothing else.
That's
It's
true
all.
everywhere.
It's just it's irritating,
It's
man. But
disappointing.
disappointing. And we can have a whole conversation about this, but we're not gonna do that. I want to go back to the book because, like I said, the book, guys, the book is really, really good, guys. I really do hope that you guys go out and just get this book. Go on Amazon, understand what I said, and get the book, whether digitally or hard copy. I don't get
think
mine
it's
already
cheaper
still,
digitally.
so
Yeah.
yeah, it probably
It's
is.
cheaper
Yeah,
digital.
it's cheaper. Yeah, man, and the
You can read it
links,
on your
guys. And the links, guys, will be in the description and the show notes, okay? To get the book. But anyways, now, so in the book, so the main character goes to Jamaica searching for her mother, all right, but ends up learning, quite a bit more about herself. Did you always know that would be the emotional core of the story?
No. No, I did not. I think that took shape over time. That took shape over time, and I think I figured
Because it
that
felt
out.
so intentional, by the way. It felt so intentional.
Yes. I think because I tend to try to get to know my characters a lot before I start writing. And I think I was thinking about what my character needed to say or what she needed to experience. And it's funny because I also figured, like, what does she need by the end of this? And so obviously my character, and I mean it's not a secret, it's not a spoiler, but I mean it is very, very much related to the story, is that my character obviously figures out that she is not straight. And that's a big deal in the book, and it is something that comes up not just for her but also for her cousin. Again, not a spoiler, but it comes up for her and also for her cousin. And this is a big point. And I think for me, I wanted to deal with that. I was thinking about how I've seen things handled, maybe not even necessarily, because I don't necessarily want to say okay, directly, but how I've seen things handled within my family. I'll just say that, just broadly. I'm not going to put anybody else specifically, but I think about that, and I think I think about oftentimes that why that is, right? And so one of the things that I think I touched on even in the book, right, is that Jamaica has the most churches per capita,
Yeah.
right, in the world, right? And that does not necessarily mean it has the most churches like as a place to some place that's bigger, but for a place of its size and for the amount of people that it has more churches than other places, if that makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
per the amount of people there are more churches than anywhere else. And I think about how that doesn't stop, even though for my character it's not true, because for my character she says that she's not religious and her father didn't raise her religious. That wasn't necessarily true for me. Even though my mother kind of stepped away herself, my grandparents made sure that we were raised in the church. And so I still know all my hymns. I could sing you all of them if I wanted to. But that's a big part of why I think we react the way that we do to a lot of those things. Not the entire part of it, just a part of it, because there's other things historically that have to do with it that go all the way back to slavery, of course, right? That why we have the reaction that we do, and also the reason why it's looked differently than if it's a man versus a woman, right? And again, those are things that go way back to slavery and way back to a lot of things that a lot of trauma, right? And so I really wanted to touch on that, and I didn't, and I was hoping, and I think it was difficult to write about, because the truth is I was worried that, someone would look at it and be like, oh, if somebody's gay, nobody not trouble you. And that might be somewhat true. But the truth is, I think that Jamaicans have like this unwritten rule, right? Of not in my house, not in my family, right? Like, oh, if you're just on the street, I might not bother you, or if you are not somebody that I know, or, or if you're not, and I mean, that's more true now today than obviously it would have been a while ago. But, if you're just somebody on the street, or if you're somebody that I don't know, of course, nobody's just going to come up to you and come trouble you. Right.
Yeah. Nobody not trouble you.
But
they might say stuff though. They might say stuff, but
they might say stuff. Yeah. But in your family, your family might have a very different reaction.
That's true.
A father to a son might have a much different reaction.
Oh, for
Does
sure.
that make
Absolutely.
sense? And I
Definitely.
speak on that as having kind of seen things like that happen, right? Where it won't bother you if it's somebody outside of your house, but if it's within your own house, if it's your family, if it's your child, if it's that's where things are not necessarily as safe. And it's not necessarily saying that someone's always going to do something, but it's not always as safe. And I did want to make sure that came through, but not like in a bad way that made it seem like, oh my goodness, if I'm in Jamaica and I'm gay, I walk around and someone's gonna, like, no, that's not in any. I wanted to make it clear that this is familial, like it's different, if that makes sense.
No, I get exactly what you're saying for sure. Yeah. So like the main character, yes, guys. So the main character is bisexual. All right. So, and I remember when we talked before we started recording, you said that there was something that you were kind of like scared about, when you were writing the book, like you were kind of afraid about the reaction. Were you referring to that? Like referring to like, Yeah,
because that's scary. That's scary to write in a book like this. But the thing is, it's not as if, and we know this, people like that exist in Jamaica. People like that exist in Jamaica, and there are people who their families don't accept them. Or I think, okay, so you'll have like worst case scenario, your family does something to you, which is like potentially rare. The potential is there, but rare, right?
Yeah.
Worst case, the second worst case scenario, your family's not going to accept you, and that's going to be the most common thing. I hate to say it, that's going to be the most common thing. Your family's not going to accept you. They might put you out. They might, however they're going to handle it. Your family's that's the most common reaction, right?
True.
The best case scenario that I have seen. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there's no examples of acceptance. I'm saying the best case scenario that I have personally seen is that people tiptoe around it. Like everybody knows, but the person isn't being like loud about it. They're kind of
Yeah.
staying to themselves. They're not saying it. We're not saying it. We all know. We all say it. We all say it somewhere in the background when you're not around, but nobody's saying it to you and nobody's actually, like
Yeah.
that.
It's almost as if like it
Everybody's
doesn't
just,
exist. Like we're just not acknowledging that you're,
yeah, we're
you
not
know,
acknowledging,
queer.
but you can't be out about it. You can't show up with, you're not going to show up with, if you're a girl, you're not going to show up with
Yeah.
your girlfriend. If you're a boy, you're not going to show up with your boyfriend or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be. You have to keep it to yourself. So it's peaceful as long as everybody's quiet.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
so I thought a lot about that. Because I thought a lot about how to navigate something like that, especially for people who deal with that sort of thing, right? And I wanted to make sure that I represented not just this idea that, oh, you have to confront it and you have to stand up and you have to say it and you have to be out about, because sometimes it's not the best thing for you either. Sometimes it's safer and it's better for you to keep it to yourself, unfortunately, right? But I guess mentally, I hope that it could give somebody a space where they felt seen and they didn't feel like, because I think that's another thing, because it is such a big part of the culture to not be that way, that even if you were born and raised there and everything, you might feel a little less Jamaican because that is a part of your identity. And I was also hoping that for anybody who might feel that way, they may feel some safety in it.
For sure, for sure. All right. So like, um, when I was reading your book, there was a part where you gave a monologue to your uncle, and I remember I screenshotted that, and I sent it to my friend who is queer, and she was just so touched by the words. You know what I mean?
That means so
So
much to me because that's all I
she
ever
really
want to do.
was. She was very touched by it. It really moved her. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm gonna be frank.
Mm-hmm.
You do have some Jamaicans that are going to be hesitant with this piece of work, for
I
sure.
know.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take away from the quality,
I
and
just
I
hope that
know
we
it's
could
going to
open up
help.
ourselves,
It's going. Listen, it's powerful. Like when I was even reading like some of the things, like the subject matter you tackled, I was just like, yo, like this shit is deep. Like this is some deep shit. You know what I mean? And it can really. I would definitely love, in an ideal world, I would love for this book to open up some conversation. For sure. So I'm definitely going to talk to those, because I know I have a friend who has like a book, like a book club kind of thing. Like she's trying to grow it and trying to increase like an initiative to get people to read more. I'm definitely going to recommend this book so that it can
Thank
possibly
you.
open up, more dialogue, get this thing, talked about.
And
Because yeah,
that and
listen, it
that
was really
that's
good.
and for me, even if it doesn't do all of, I would love it if it does. Even if it doesn't, even to know that
Mm,
one person could read it and feel touched by it, and one person could read it and feel seen by it. I tell everybody that that's
yeah,
all I ever want. All I ever
just a
want is
man.
for, yeah, someone to
Just a man.
connect, right?
She said she come for the book. She said she come for the book. So,
No, I love that. I love that
so
because I think
definitely.
my favorite thing about that monologue is that, the character, she could say a lot of things, but she asks, and I she doesn't ask, you know accept me. She doesn't ask, change the way that you are. She says, you already love me anyway, you know
Deep.
and
That
I
was
and
deep.
that's the thing that I hope for, the dialogue that I hope it can at least open for families, right? Is that even if it's hard for you, and even if you're not at acceptance yet, and even if you're not, in a place where you can be and okay with it, can you love them anyway? Can you start there? Can you just take that step there?
It's powerful, powerful. That sound like it can be a clip, no so. Not to trivialize everything what you said. That was some deep
No.
shit for real. Definitely. Absolutely. All right. So yeah, like I said, I will say, like I said, this book, it's like one of the, because I don't normally see like queer representation of, in Jamaican media. I don't normally see that at all. I think the last thing I saw was like Get Millie Black. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that miniseries on HBO. Yeah, that
I
was like the
didn't watch it, but
last.
I heard of
You
it.
didn't watch it? Yeah,
But
so that was
I
like
think Marlon James was attached to it.
he's a
And
writer.
Marlon James is a queer Jamaican writer. I met him one
Yes.
time a long time ago. He probably does not remember me, but I am a fan of his, and he was very, very kind when I met him. I met him when I was still a college student. I was still young and fresh faced and
Yeah.
and oh my goodness, I wasn't a writer yet. I was just so excited to meet another writer, and his books typically have queer representation as well. Um but
Oh yeah,
but yeah, no.
explicit.
Mhm.
Get Millie Black. It was. I'm gonna lie. I enjoyed watching it. I've never read the book. I enjoyed the miniseries itself, but I'm not gonna lie. It didn't really get the reception and the love I think it deserved, and I think it was because of the
Because of that.
queer
Hmm.
representation. It was very heavy, and I'm gonna be honest with you. So I work in the entertainment space, and even you have people who were like, you know a Batman film, that and da 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 Batman show me, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
yeah,
There's
which is
just
a
so much stigma. There's so much stigma, and I think it's harder too. And I think that this is something that I touch on my book. It's harder too because he's a man. It's harder
yeah.
if you're writing queer representation for men, especially. It's so much harder because I do think in Jamaica, especially, it's much, 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 much harder for a man to say that he's
Mhm.
queer than it is for a woman, because I do think a woman, there's space for a woman to be fetishized, and that's not necessarily a good thing either. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily a good thing either. And I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that fetishization is good, but it's weird that they can find that like women can find protection in fetishization. Jeez, that word
Yeah.
was kicking my ass. Women can find protection in that, which is sad, and it's not a real protection, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of a fake protection. It's just a veil, right? But women can find protection in that, whereas men don't have that, right? And I do think that that is a big difference. And so I do think that, and I do think, I mean, Marlon James, I mean, all of the books that he's written, I have absolutely loved. I mean, he's an award-winning writer, so it kind of goes without saying that he's a phenomenal writer. Um, but yeah, I do think obviously the subject matter is always going to be hard, and and that's difficult. Again, like to feel like, you wouldn't, there's parts of you that wouldn't be accepted in a place that you call home. And so I think sometimes that's the reason why, as crazy as it is, that's the reason why you write things like that, so that the people who do
Yeah.
feel like that can have a space where they see that it's not just them and they're not alone.
You're not. Love that. Love that. Love that. All right. So I'm gonna wrap up, so I don't want to keep up too much of your time. But like,
No
okay,
problem.
so like,
I trapped my kids in a room so that they wouldn't bother me.
oh, okay. I don't think this is something you should admit on a podcast, but yeah.
No, not actually trapped. They're fine. They're in there playing games
Come
and
on,
such. They're just
I trouble me, man. Trouble me, yo. But yeah, so
oh
yeah, here's my
goodness.
thing. So what's like, and what advice would you give like young Caribbean writers? They see you, you're being so authentic with yourself in your writing and all that. What would you tell them to?
Uh,
What do you tell them? If they want to write authentic stories too.
Yeah, so first, don't be afraid to do it, right? Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to put a little bit of yourself on the page. I think that that's what makes stories come alive. Um,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to fail, because a lot of trying to be in this business of publishing is difficult. But I think especially know that our stories matter, right? The one thing I tell people all the time is, we lick about with taloa. And the representation matters, right? I think you may think, there's not so many of us. It's not, nobody's going to care about my story. But remember, there are going to be people that care, both people who are like you and also people who are not like you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just for us, but even other people can can understand us and other people will be introduced, right? Maybe there's somebody who's never been to Jamaica who reads my book who says, oh, all those places she mentioned sound beautiful, I want to go, right? And now maybe someone, even though I'm kind of anti-tourism, but whatever, right? But, you know, maybe someone is, I want to find out more about Jamaica. I want to support Jamaica. You know, I heard that a hurricane hit and these beautiful places might be impacted. Maybe I should donate. You know, different things like that. I think remember that being your authentic self, you're adding something to the world, you're adding something to the culture, and you're creating something beautiful. So my advice is write. You actually have to do the thing. You can't just think about the thing. You can't just, you can't just say, oh, I could write a book or I could do. You actually have to write. You actually have to put things down on paper. So make sure you do that first. Get with people who are willing to read your writing, whoever that may be. They don't even have to be writers. Sometimes the best people to read your stuff are not writers. It's just readers. They could give you some of the best feedback. So write, get people who are willing to read your writing, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Right? Search up any resources that you can to figure out how to do it. And don't, as I said, don't be afraid to fail. If you get one no, keep going. If you get two no's, keep going. It only takes one yes. It only takes one yes. I will tell you, and this is just me being honest and transparent, on my journey to get here, I got so many no's, right? When I first tried to find, because it's a whole process to do publishing, especially to, like you said, to get with Simon & Schuster, right? You have to find an agent, and then that agent has to pitch it to an editor, and finding an agent can be difficult. I think I want to say I queried 60 some people who said no, right? Before I found one person who said yes, and then that led to 4 yeses. And that was exciting, right? And I think sometimes about some of the rejections that I got. So this is what I'm saying. Don't let people make you want to quit, because I still remember I almost did quit. I I remember I had someone who said, oh, for my first book, not this one, for my first book, they said, I really like the premise, but, the writing isn't there. Basically that the writing was bad. I was like,
what? And you win Wally awards?
Oh, trust me, I'm petty about it now. Because I want to send, every time I win something, I want to send it and just be like,
fuck you.
It just, every time I just want to, but I remember someone telling me that, and I was like, well, maybe I should quit. Maybe I'm bad, right? But then I got the yes, and I kept going. And even when we sent the book out to editors, we sold my first book in 2 weeks. It only took 2 weeks. That is not typical. It only took 2 weeks for us to get an offer. And when I tell you that is rare, that is rare. So if I had quit when someone made me feel like I wanted to quit, if I had quit at any of those 60 some no's, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have won awards. I wouldn't have people tell me how much the book means to me. How much the book means to them. So remember, don't let any no's stop you. You just keep going. You're going to find that yes, and that yes will lead to another yes eventually, and you'll get exactly where you need to be.
Wow. Powerful. Well, DeAndra, it was a pleasure. Oh my gosh. Wait, I have one random question. This is very, very random.
Sure.
If this book was supposed to become a movie, right? Let's say someone is gonna adapt it as a film. Who would you cast as Jalea?
Oh, I think someone asked me this, and it's so hard because there's not. It's so hard because you have to think Hollywood. They're gonna need a big name. They're gonna need a big name actress, some big name actress. And I thought a lot about this because there's not a lot of like younger Black actresses right now.
True.
Right? Less so that are Jamaican. And so I guess for me, the only good answer that I could come up with after really thinking about it, I don't know if you know who this is. Her name's Marsai Martin.
You took the word out. You took it out of my head. Yeah. From Grownish.
I think I would. Yes, I think
not
I would
Grownish.
pick,
Not Grownish.
No.
Blackish.
Yes, from Blackish, and she's older now. She was a little
very
girl when
old.
she was
She's
in
an
that.
adult
She's
now.
older now. Yes, but
she could pass that child.
Yes, I think she could pass for 17, 18, right? And so I think I would probably pick her because I have to think like within the the age range and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I think I would pick her. Marcy Martin, I think would play a really good
Literally,
Julia.
so it's funny when you say that because as she did it in my head
Is
for
that
real.
what you picture?
As she did it in my head for real. When you say
See?
that. She
That means we need to make a movie and you need to be in
No,
charge of
man.
casting.
You need just say the word. Just say the word, no one. Just say the word. All right, DeAndra. Well, it was so great having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Big up your publicist, Alex, for reaching out and, coming up on my little podcast. Isn't me? Giving me a book and thing, Definitely. You have my support, definitely seeing how far, you will go with this book and even in your career too. I see you win up all of them awards there. I see every day is like I want next award, next award, next award, next award. And trust me guys, the reviews have been amazing for this book. And it not even come out yet. So make sure at least put out on the pre-orders. Support Jamaican. Alright? You see when 50 Shades did come out, I want everybody to see a buy the little idiot book. Buy this, buy quality, support local talent, guys. Support Jamaican. Don't talk now. Alright, DeAndra, you have anything you want to say? Any final words before we go?
No, just thank you so much for having me. And genuinely, just thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And thank you to everybody who listened. And if you buy the book, if you read the book, even if you get it from a library, however, thank you.
Alright, guys. Well, you don't know the thing. Go already. Bless upon yourself. Enough love. Alright.